I've just listened to Peter Lavelle on Crosstalk about NATO's escalation, and you can find that half-hour discussion in the description. I think those of you who know me will know what my answer is to the question of, is democracy a shittier system than monarchy? What does democracy run on? It runs on the idea that we should abide by the will of the people and the will of the majority, and never ever ask the question, what if the majority are stupid? And mostly they do have shit for brains, particularly as progressive ideologies such as liberalism progress towards ever widening and deepening degeneracy. When you think about democracy as it was practiced in Athens, you can see that it was, well, it didn't last for very long, only about 100 years. And we also know that it was briefly, perhaps not that briefly practiced in the Roman Republic because it was being practiced successfully until it became a victim of its own success and became an empire, and then it became decadent and, degenerate and corrupt. So, is there anything obvious about democracy? Is there something in the concept of it that makes it automatically better than monarchy? It's two extremes, isn't it? You could have a very bad king who kept involving his kingdom in losing wars. And in theory, if democracy were the opinion of the majority of wise voters, then it would be all right. Because wise people, such as people who were guests on Peter Lavelle's Crosstalk, talking about the NATO escalation, these people would know what's coming and take measures to avoid World War III. And one of the things they were saying in that discussion was that none of the people running US foreign policy have ever had a job in their life. They were never on the factory floor. They only had theories that they learned from, I guess, an Ivy League university, and thought they were members of the elite who had to be listened to because they were members of the elite. Now, I am suggesting that common sense ought to play a part in foreign policy. Obviously, it's not a good idea to go around starting wars you're not sure of winning, and therefore the war in Ukraine was one of those wars that were better off not started. Was there any reason for the war in Ukraine? Not really, because nobody was being threatened. The Western Europeans weren't feeling threatened. It was just NATO thinking it could push Russia around and doing it. Sorry, I'm just going to stop the notifications, which are a little bit distracting while I'm talking to you. So it would be common sense to not start wars you're not sure of winning. But obviously NATO thought, well, we do have Russia surrounded, and we'll get the Ukrainians to attack Russia, and even if they don't win immediately, it will be an economic war on Russia, and we will just bleed Russia to death. Now, the more interesting responses I've had were the people who immediately supported Zelensky when it was reported in legacy media, the BBC. And I do remember female voters. Well, obviously they're my friends and family, talking about the war, and they were immediately supportive of it because of the way the BBC reported it. It's only the men who took a bit more of an interest in the war. Some of the men I know are concerned that they might be conscripted. There are some men who think that it should be supported, but I don't know whether they say these things because they desperately want to believe that their government hasn't got just everything wrong about government, as well as social policy, economic policy, education policy. It has got its foreign policy wrong as well. And this brings me to what I really want to say about democracy. Now, most people will know who they, or will claim who they want to win in the next election, and it's usually divided by class. So if you feel like the proletariat, you're working class, and you just vote Labour, and if you think you're middle class and landed gentry and old money, you vote for the Conservatives. Now, I think it should be obvious by now that dividing your voters on class grounds is stupid and unnecessarily divisive, because obviously all these different groups would have conflicting economic and class interests, and they should not be pitted against each other, but for the idea that they should take turns at governing the country or something, or their interests should predominate in the governing of the country. There is nothing inherently moral about being born working class or middle class. And it should be obvious to people that if government should be doing anything, it should be to govern in the national interest, and it is not. And it would be in a national interest not to get the country embroiled in wars that we cannot win, which would be very difficult to explain to people expected to die in it. And these would be imperial wars because they are done for reasons of strategy. Obviously, some lie will be cooked up by saying such and such a country is evil and must be stopped because they're backward and barbaric and they're hurting these people that we want to protect, and the usual guff. But the thing about foreign policy is that people aren't terribly interested in foreign countries they have never heard of, with long histories, as long as their own history, and with many different views about it. So I think I am right in saying that most people are not interested in history, even if it's their own history. History is a boring series of dates and battles that the ordinary a school child has very little interest in. All people care about is that they are the good guys, and of course the government will be saying to the people that they are the good guys, particularly if they want to risk their lives and their limbs fighting some war that they can't really explain in terms of the national interest. One may imagine what the British soldier thought. In fact, that there was a song which I think goes along the lines of, we're here because we're here because we're here, meaning that they don't know why they were sent to wherever they were to fight and die for their country. They really had no idea. It wasn't explained to them except that the people that they were expected to kill deserved to be killed. But other than that, they wouldn't know that much about geopolitics. But thanks to Twitter, more and more people are getting together to discuss geopolitics and get a better idea of why our governments are crazy, evil, or stupid. But back to the point of representative democracy. Now, we may think we know that we want Labour or the Tories to win because we want higher social spending or lower taxes and all that sort of thing. But in terms of foreign policy, it is very difficult to explain to the ordinary person who mostly suffers from ADHD and really can't be made to understand the finer points of foreign policy. To this day, it will be difficult to discuss these things, particularly about who was really to blame for World War One and World War Two. I have had some time to think about these things, and I'm afraid I do think that they were quite unnecessary. And I do think that it is, if the British had any kind of political achievement, it would be for the fact that they had a global empire and they lost it after World War II. So it can be concluded that they shouldn't have fought it. And if World War II was a continuation of World War One, then what was World War One about? It was a gamble. It was a summer war. And wars tend to be started in the summer when people are feeling optimistic. Particularly if they think it's going to be a short war. I haven't spoken to anyone outside the internet about the war in Ukraine, not really. I think people instinctively avoid these subjects in case we get bored by somebody else's views and get told about Russian sounding place names that fundamentally we have no interest in hearing anything more about. And so I suppose sensible people avoid these subjects in order to stop themselves from arguing with friends and family. But really, if we are so helpless as to be unable to stop our government from going to war, then democracy is obviously a sham. So the 4th of July elections in the UK will be a testing ground. So a lot of people think it's about immigration, and some people are delighted that Nigel Farage is going to be head of the Reform Party and he's going to be throwing his hat in the ring and contesting the seat of Clacton-on-Sea. But the bigger picture remains World War III. Do you think the ordinary voter will be asked about his views on foreign policy? It has always been the presumption that no voter votes about foreign policy. They only vote about higher or lower public spending or higher or lower taxes. And that's it. It's all about what the government can do for them, but never talking about avoiding a world war. And for this reason, it has now become increasingly clear that democracy, representative democracy, should be abolished because it doesn't ever address the issue of foreign policy. And even if it were in either the manifestos of Labour or Conservative, it would be irrelevant or ineffective because people just wouldn't be able to understand the choices being put forward to them. I suppose meaningfully we could say, if one party proposed to leave NATO and we have a choice of voting to leave NATO, then it would make the elections deeply meaningful, but obviously that's not going to be on the menu. And if World War III blows up, what is the point of our democracy? It has no point at all. So we get slightly higher taxes or slightly lower taxes, and no change on immigration because I guess it can't be stopped. Because once you pop, you can't stop, as the ad for Pringles says. So it is time to reflect on the vacuousness of democracy and think of, sensible countries like China or Iran, where the ruling classes assume that most people are not able to make these decisions. They don't have the knowledge and they don't have the patience to understand all the ins and outs. And of course, these matters should be left to foreign policy experts who care about these things enough to learn about the history of not only their country, but the history of the countries they are dealing with. So it would be educated people with an understanding of history, not the average Joe who can only think in terms of higher or lower taxes or higher or lower public spending. So I think it has become increasingly clear that democracy is, it just doesn't do what it's meant to do. What is the alternative? The alternative, I think, must be that the different groups of society should have a representative and they lobby the one-party state. The uniparty has its principle that has a principle of governing the national interest. But of course, we're going to be asking what is the national interest, and it will be a judicious balancing of the people of the country currently in existence and to be born. And this is really how we should be thinking of the national interest of people not yet born. But this, I think, is too rarefied for our venal democratic politicians who cannot think beyond the next election. And so I'm proposing that we are supposed to be thinking of what will our descendants think of us, assuming if we are lucky enough to have descendants. And I think most people who probably don't want children or who won't be hanging around to be good parents to their illegitimate offspring, I don't think they'll care about these things. They would only care to use up all the fun there is to be had before they pop their clogs. Because that is how atheists and nihilists think, and atheists and nihilists and narcissists are in already populate the ruling classes. They are all, in fact, without exception, atheists, nihilists, and narcissists. So that is a problem. But what about the people who complain about them? It is very disappointing because actually the people who complain about them are not much better. They are just as corrupt, incompetent, and not getting the right idea of things, and then refusing to discuss it because they know they've lost the argument. So what would be a good idea? How would be a better way of organising society? I think there are important groups in society. There will be, well, the business community. I'm sure they'll think that they're very important. There would be the army, the police force, the workers, men, women, married parents. Yeah, single people should get representation, but obviously not sex offenders. So we're talking about who deserves representation, and or obviously, all the religious groups are in existence. In the society that I have in mind, there would be, people who call themselves Jews and Christians and Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists, and they'd all have a leader, and their interests could be represented, and they can organize themselves in this way. There would be, a register of Jews, Christians, and Muslims, and Jews and Buddhists. But what about atheists? I will add Vincent Bruno, who's just arrived, and we can discuss this a little further. Hello, Vincent. Hello, Vincent. I can't hear you. And your avatar's not pulse.
Hello?
Hello. Hi, Vincent.
Oh no, it sounds horrible on my end. Hold on. Shit. Let me come out and come back in.
Okay.
Oh.
You sound okay
I
to
can hear
me,
you better
though.
now. Oh no, you sounded. I couldn't hear you, but now I can hear you very well. What were you talking about?
I was watching Peter Lavelle on RT talking to a few of his guests talking about NATO escalation. And before that, I was listening to a few spaces talking about foreign policy and war.
Oh, God.
And so I've had, they were quite knowledgeable in that space I was talking about. And that was why I was saying, I'm just drawing your attention to it, hoping you join. They were talking about religion as well, but that soon quickly moved on to geopolitics and Ukraine and World War
Yes.
Three.
It's so hard to listen to people on the right because for me, it's so hard for me to listen to it because a lot of it is very, okay, yeah, I don't, this is not exactly the word I want to use. It is like emotional, theoretical, um, uh, intellectual, and okay, so what does the left have? What does the left talk about? The left is like, okay, what do you want to do with your body? And okay, you want to do this, so then we're going to protect your right to do it. Hey, then we're going to protect your right to do it. And that's basically their message, right? That's kind of like, okay, you're talking about what a person can do, what they can say, all these different kinds of things. That's a very practical message that somebody would really care about. And it almost automatically creates a response and being like, well, yes, I do want those rights to do those things for myself. So what are we going to do to make sure that I can keep them? It's like kind of like automatically militarizes you. Whereas, when you go into the right, they have, okay, here's something like, okay, so instead of coming in and saying, okay, well, there's different races and we want everyone to be treated well, and that means that we need these kinds of laws in order to make sure everyone is treated well, versus a discussion about, are there differences between the races? What are they? Trying to convince people of how race works and things like that. And I know, some of it is just like crass, crude racism, but it's a thicker subject matter, and it's not as immediately relevant, and it is not as immediately, the left is like, okay, well, we want this to happen, so that means that we can't let this bill pass, and we can't let this ideology spread in society. And whereas the right
But,
wants
but, but
to,
I think you're saying, aren't you, Vincent, that the left are more organised and the right are just stupid and disorganised
well,
and
it's more than that. It's much more theoretical. Like, okay, like if this is the extreme, but everyone praising Stu Peters' new movie about how buildings in America all existed here and were built by giants. It's just, okay, that's an extreme version. The conspiracy theories, flat Earth, are all extreme versions. But a lot of it it's about God, and God is such a big subject, and it's not immediately relevant.
Who is the God a big subject for? Probably the right. I think the right are like getting into God nowadays.
It is true. I mean, thank you for mentioning it, Vincent, because, basically, yes, they are talking about God a bit more because they sort of think that will solve our problems. We have to think about it. And they are talking more about theology because
Well,
that's the weapon. It's the biggest idea around.
It's okay. Well, it's not anything that I'm going to. The point that I'm trying to make is that they can't get anything done because they're not focusing on this world, bread and butter, what's going on, how do you, become a military.
Not the right or the left? Who's not focusing on this world?
The right is not focusing. They're not, okay, the right, like, the left has a plan and they know what they want. I don't know when you came in and started listening, but what we were saying is that, the left deals with care, harm. It deals with, do you want the right to do this with your body? Yes. Well, we're going to protect you. Okay. And, and then the right comes in, oh, but God, like, okay, God is a big thing, and now we have to sit down and convince people of God and talk about God and what is God and who is God and what does God want. And, this is kind of like a lot to digest, and a lot of places where people are not going to agree on things. And just the left is so much easier because it's about care harm, about this world, about what do you want to do, what are you being
They are
provided
both
with.
about this world, but they're very different angles. So the left is more about freedom, and the right is more about responsibility. The right is more about family, and the
No,
left
but
is
you bring
about,
God,
oh,
but
we
no,
have a
I'm not.
right to do this and that, and it's
I'm
always
not talking.
anti different things.
I'm not talking. The family and all that is all this world. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you start getting into things like God, like purity, like you know,
Are you saying God is just like next world stuff? Is that what you're trying to say?
you're
Because
you're
the
really it's not bread and butter. It's not okay.
it
Like
is.
how do you?
It
Okay,
is the
well,
only. I'll just tell you the only reason why the right has come back to God is because they realized that the left has gone so crazy. When you when you don't have God, you don't have any rules. Do you get what I'm saying? You just make up your rules as you go along, and everybody becomes trans, and then they become transhuman. They become like you don't even know what a man is or a woman is. Like they know nothing. It's like everything's breaking down, and the right cares about family. So they're thinking, okay, we have to get back to some foundations, and the foundations only come from God. So they're not like they don't care about the next world really. The right, they're just like they don't want it to. They don't want this world to fall apart. So they just want family, and they know they
okay,
realize.
but as a strategy and tactic to like organize people, it's much easier to go up on a stage and say, "Hey, you need this. I'm going to get it for you." Versus, "Okay, let's talk about God," and then everyone starts fighting about who God is and what God wants. Like, this is the left is more organized for a reason. You guys are focusing on God, and that's not working for you, and you can't accomplish anything. And the left is getting everything done because they're talking about, "Oh,
They're
you want
not
to do
getting
it."
things done. They look like they're getting things done. So the left like protests. Yeah, they get together and make a lot of noise.
Why aren't you in control then? Why aren't you in control?
What do you mean?
Why aren't your people in control? Why isn't all the trans ideology out of the schools and everything if the left is not in control and the left isn't
Oh,
doing a
okay,
great job?
fair point. Fair point. Yeah, they are. Somebody's shoving trans ideology through somehow, but I don't think it's the left. The left are not doing it. Somebody else is doing that because the left are the ones who go out in the streets and protest. Like, do you think was there any protest to get trans ideology into schools? No.
No, because
Somebody else.
it got in. It was accepted at the time, and the society had liberalized enough for it to get in, and nobody cared and nobody noticed. And then people started making a deal about it, and now some people are starting to care. Yes, but if you're going to sit here and tell me that, oh, as a God believing right wing person, that you are so much better organized as a group of people than the left, I'm just going to tell you to fuck off because that's just.
No, you're right. I don't think the problem with the right is they're too self-centered. That's the only problem. They're not. Yeah, they're not about getting together really. They're about family getting together, but they don't have a wider view. They don't have they don't believe in community, for example. And the left is more like communist style, so they're kind of more to do with community, I guess. So there's strengths and weaknesses on both sides. I don't think the left actually organizes much in reality. They just make a lot of noise and complain that the world isn't fair.
No, I'm sorry. The 2,000 students arrested because if 2,000 students in America were arrested all across America for protesting on college campuses, that must have mean that there were thousands and thousands of people that weren't arrested. I mean,
Yeah.
if you see okay, well, they do mobilize physically, and you've seen there's huge protests. Are you kidding me? College very hard.
They mobilize and make a lot of noise.
No.
I don't know if they what do they actually organize long term? Like they're complaining about it's great. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm saying it slightly wrong. Okay, so when there's an issue, like thousands of Palestinians start dying, then they start saying, "Oh, we could let's protest," right? But they're not actually in England or in the UK organizing long term things for
Yep,
the
because they
benefit.
have control of the government, because they're already in control. They're not protesters in the street. They're all the way at the top of the government controlling everything. So what,
Okay.
okay, like, if you're going to convince me that your plan is working so much better, I mean, that if this is your big argument
Also,
that,
I'm not the right or the left. I'm a Muslim, which is we're
yeah,
kind of a
I know. Well, okay, yeah,
we've got a different strategy. Our strategy is to follow our religion, so our ideas continue through our kids, and we're actually growing in that way. We're kind of silently taking over. So it's a different strategy to the left or the right.
yes, I know, and the fact that, I mean, it's horrifying, and something has to be done, because you just come in here
About
and
us,
grab.
right?
Yeah, something has to be
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard. It's
We're too scary. Somebody has to do something.
You are scary. You are scary. I
What,
mean,
even me? My face?
no. Well, first of all, I mean, okay, it just comes down to the fact that this is everyone, all the Muslims get into fights with me. Like, why do you even care? The fact is that when Muslims take over, and if the Muslim area becomes majority Muslim and the Sharia is in place, would I be able to go out on a corner and take
No.
up?
And not as a homo. No, they'll stone
No,
you.
no, what? You didn't even let me answer the question. You didn't even let
Oh,
me ask the
sorry.
question. You didn't even let me ask a question. And
That's
what did
what's
you
going to
say?
happen. Like, homos won't even go to talk. They'll be like, we're gonna let you finish your sentence.
No, okay,
Sorry, I'm just joking. Go on, carry on,
yeah,
carry on.
I know, and it is a serious situation. Of course, you're like, it's about taking away people's rights, which I was just about to get into. But, of course, as a Muslim, you're going to think that's funny or excusable or whatever. I was trying to say that I cannot just go out onto a street corner and pass out pamphlets enticing people into idolatry, yet Muslims are allowed to do that wherever they go, and they expect the right to be able to do that. So, I mean, as an idolater, I'm not going to just, say, sure, go ahead, like, evangelize here so you can take away my rights. And then I know what you're going to say, because they all say, well, you can do it inside your house, you could do it inside your courtyard, you just can't hand things out in public. And if you want to have a temple, you just can't be showing on the outside what's going on the inside. Like, you put all these restrictions on me, and you should be happy with that.
Oh, what's your question? I'll tell you. Go on.
No, well, the question was, oh, well, obviously, okay, the question would be, I mean, but you're a Muslim. 100% of Muslims say that what I just said is the way it works under Sharia law.
Yeah. It
okay, well, I mean, that's kind of scummy and slimy and.
So you're sad that when the Muslims take over, you won't be able to do all the stuff you want to do. You won't be able to openly. So it won't be a liberal society where you can do anything you want.
No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Stop. I said that I would not be able to. I gave a specific legal example. I said that I would not specifically be able to go out into public and pass out leaflets enticing people into idolatry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Muslims. I think there's just different approaches to society, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. You're taking away my freedom, and it's like, I mean,
yeah,
this is like.
we don't. The thing is, we don't care so much about freedom. We care about responsibility.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, I don't. Yeah, I know. But you're gonna come up, and then you're gonna define what responsibility is, and you're gonna come up with this God, and that's why this is why you can't organize, because, like I said, okay, you're not speaking to me as the left would speak to me and say, of course we wouldn't take away that rule from you. Of course we want you to be able to do that. Come to our side, and you're coming in. Oh, but God said you can't do that. Aren't you know?
Yeah, we've just got a different approach. Yeah. Very different.
Yeah, okay, and it's not working. Your side
just do anything you want. Like the left will be like, oh, you should be able to walk around naked. You should.
I didn't say naked. I didn't say naked. I said.
By the way, I'm not here to really argue with you. It's kind of just like I'm just joining whatever. Like to have a nice chat and whatever.
I know you're not taking it seriously, because it is a serious question. It's a legal question about Sharia that you don't want to talk seriously about, because you're taking away people's rights.
I'm just telling you the different kind of mentality.
Okay, well, and this started out as who has a better technique to grab people, and obviously the left has a better one than anyone who's going to come in and say, well, we're going to take away your rights because God said so.
No, it's not better, because what happens is it's just like short-term excitement, like people will do protests, whatever, right? But the Muslim way is kind of long-term. It kind of like it says no, there are limits, and this is what works. Because if you don't have the limits, then things don't work. Yeah,
Okay,
like
I know
families
you're
don't work.
bringing this into, you're going to extremes. I'm talking about one simple legal, like unreasonable law that you're going to take away from idolaters, which is it's an unreasonable burden upon society. And you're just coming in and saying, okay, well, we're going to do this because God said so. I'm not
So
going to list.
basically, you're saying, okay, the example you gave sounded like we're going to take away the freedom of speech. Is that what you're basically saying? Because you
It's
won't be able
in
to
certain,
advertise.
I know, in certain limited circumstances, yes.
Yeah, I can imagine, because Muslims are a lot more controlling. What's SJJ got to say? Islam will eventually be buck broken. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like
Rape.
global homo. But is it?
Rape. When a buck breaking, well, I don't know what he's. Stephen J. James is from. Stephen J. James is from Britain, but
Yeah.
in America, it's what it's. So if a black slave ran away, and then the farmers and the dogs would rape him, and it was called buck breaking.
But yeah, SJJ is a bit younger. He might pick up American terms as well. Buck broken, but liberalism is the final boss.
No, it's
Um,
not. It's going to be Islam and Noahidism. Some or Chris
Not
like it.
Noahidism. That's just
Yes, it
you.
is. No, it's going to get somewhere. Yeah, I know. The Jews have it all the way up at the top, and they're up here and they're up in the ivory tower, like spreading this, and you Muslims are down below in the streets, and you're saying, oh no, it's not going anywhere. It's not here. It's not in our dumpster. So
The
you know,
Jews. Okay. There's two main
I know it's
categories
not
of
in your
Jews. There's
dumpster,
the
so therefore it doesn't
religious Jews
matter.
and Zionists. The ones who are controlling things are Zionists, not religious Jews. Am I wrong? What do you think?
They cross. First of all, those two things very seriously cross over. Very religious and Zionist Jew cross over. There's not like it's you're either religious or you're Zionist. No, those two things go together very well. Number one, and number two, I think that yes, Zionists have lots of power, but so do religious Jews. Yes, they do have lots of power, lots of it.
Mm. Yeah, there is a bit of there's some crossover. It's a weird crossover.
Not weird. There is a lot of crossover. If you're gonna sit here and try to tell me that religious Jews are not Zionists, then that's absurd.
They are. Yeah, I just don't know. I just find yeah. It's like it's just my own experience is quite confused experience. Like what I mean by that is like I know like a Zionist Jew, but he doesn't actually believe in Judaism, and but he wears all the Jewish stuff and whatever. And there's all these weird different groups of Jews. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, well, I've been pointing this out. Another Muslim got mad at it. I said, you Muslims help the Noahide agenda by just telling the Christians and the pagans who are upset, like, oh, no, that's nothing. Don't worry about that. Stop talking about that. That's not a big deal. Like, you know what I mean? It's even though you're not coming out and actually promoting it, you're like kind of just like hush-hushing us. You know what I
Hush
mean? All
hushing
the
what? The Noahides.
anyone who has concerns about them are hush-hushed and
Hush hush
push this
about like concerned about what? The Zionists?
about the
The Jews?
Noahide laws. I said that the Muslims are annoying people. So what they're doing is, they see Christians or pagans talking about the Noahide law in a kind of frantic way, and then you kind of why do you care? This is nothing. These laws are fine. What are you complaining about? Stop spreading conspiracy theories. Like, you know what I mean? It's not giving you a good image, and people are picking up on this. And so this kind of like dismissiveness is on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I
I
think
told everyone, I started going on, I went on all the Palestinian channels. I said, because they went into Israel, into Palestine, and they bombed Palestine. And then after going in and bombing it, they were hanging up Noahide law posters everywhere. And even Jewish accounts affirm that this was in Palestine, in Gaza, after they had been bombing. And they're putting up posters in Arabic telling the people to come to the Noahide laws. All the Christians and pagans, and they were spreading it. Not a fucking single Palestinian spread it. And all they could have to say is, well, we follow these laws anyway. I mean, I told everyone to stop spreading it for you. I said, these fucking people don't, they're not on our side. They're not going to save us from this. They're not going to help us.
Mm.
They're not, they don't want to help themselves. They don't even give a fuck. I told Abdul in 2 seconds, he's like, I don't care. He didn't even know what it was 5 seconds ago. And then when I told him, he's like, oh, ha, ha, this could never happen in Islam. And I said, well, it could happen over here. And he's like, well, that's different. But he's like, oh, no, it could never happen here. But not like, oh, my God, I can see your point. This is a problem. Like, yeah, sure, go make a noise about this. You know what I mean?
What's the problem? Maybe I'm just tired or losing something. But what's the problem that you're talking about? What's the problem? I didn't know there was a problem.
The problem is that this ideology is spreading in society amongst the governing classes, not to
Which
the point
ideology is spreading?
Noahide ideology. You haven't really been following this conversation.
Okay, wait a second. You support Noahide ideology, right?
No, Khalid, if you don't understand by this point, then I don't really want to talk. If we've been talking for this long and you don't understand my position.
So I thought you supported Noahide ideology. But now it sounds like you're calling it a problem. Claire, tell me what's going on.
Wow, Khalid, you really, it's Claire.
It's quite difficult to understand because
excuse me, I'm very clear. Claire, you don't understand my position now anymore either. Let me tell you, Claire, you're going to take a side and say, I don't understand what your position is on Noahide either. I think I make it very clear every single day of my life on what side of the Noahide law issue I am on. I think I make that absolutely 100% clear.
You're basically just making a prediction, right?
That's not the question. No. Stop making about something different. It's that Khalid now cannot, after months or even a year of speaking to me, does not know my position on anything. Then this is he's either playing stupid or he is stupid. And I'm not repeating a year's worth of information to someone who's probably joking and is trying to be funny and pretending they don't know where I stand.
I actually don't know where you stand. Claire, summarize in 2 minutes everything Vincent believes.
I fear Vincent is going to be annoyed with me because I'm saying, okay, this is my understanding of Vincent's position. He predicts that people in the West, when they really get fed up with liberalism, are going to choose the Noahide laws. That is what he seems to be predicting. And I'm saying use secular Quranism to head them off at the pass, because the Noahide laws will be executing idolaters and blasphemers. And Vincent takes this yes or no position. It's like, yes, it really says that, but it's not going to happen, anytime soon. So don't worry. And I'm saying,
so when people get tired of liberalism, they're going to become what?
They're going to adopt the Noahide laws, and the Noahide laws are much more harsh about idolaters, blasphemers, sodomites, and adulterers, executing them.
No, I think this conversation is too complicated for him. I think it's too complicated.
It's very complicated for many people.
Okay, but he's not. I don't
want to ruin the conversation. I'll just join for a little bit. But
yeah, I know you. This is the second time where you just come in to ruin the stream, as you said, to throw a wrench. You said you didn't even care. Last time you came on, you said I don't even care what you're saying. I just came in to say something.
Bye, SJJ, Stephen. Bye, Claire. Bye.
Okay, bye.
I don't like Khalid at all.
I don't. I like you, Vincent. Bye.
Yeah, I don't like Khalid at all.
But I'm afraid your position is hard to understand.
No, it's not hard to understand. Okay, yeah, my position.
You're betting that the Noahide laws are going to take over. Isn't that your position?
Not tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I'm not saying it's tomorrow. I'm saying eventually, yes, whenever that may be. And I'm not going to be made to feel, because I sense, look, this is an agenda with a goal, and it's starting and it's grown like a cancer. It's not innocuous, and just cut it out now. Why wait 10 years to extricate the Noahide virus from society when you can just do it now?
How can people do it now when they don't they haven't been given the green light to care about it. Look, I've explained to you so many times, people just need a green light. It's like, oh, you should be angry about those Muslims. You should be, whatever about those
Well,
people.
okay, but in 10 years, the green light has been opening. Yes, if you go on to
We just
Twitter
can't get excited about it.
if you go onto Twitter, it is growing. It's not dying.
Well, we're like Christian nationalism. So Twitter is also there to manage our expectations and manipulate our emotions.
I'm talking
Christian
about the number of
nationalism trends
mentions.
from time
I'm
to
talking about the
time,
number of mentions and the number of people that talk about it in a fretting way, or that talk about the Noahide laws in a fretting way. So that has grown, and I know it's not. Look, the anti-Noahide movement is not going away, and it's only growing even beyond me. I'm no longer the number one source. I mean, Adam Green took over, Israeli News Live took over, these people, but not really. Now LifeSite News is taking over, not taking over. Nobody is putting all their time and energy into it enough for me. I'm not happy with anyone's progress. I mean, it needs a 24-hour news fucking channel, but what was I trying to say? That it's, I mean, Claire, even since I've known you, how long have I've known you a long time now, what, like 7 years?
Yes.
I've known you like 6-7 years.
Has it been that long?
It
Gosh.
may have, it may be 6 or 7 years, but it's grown.
It's quite so long.
It's grown since then. I mean, it's grown in those 6 or 7 years. I mean, I've been doing it for 11 years. I was doing it for 5 years before I met you.
Oh yeah. Today, there's this Jew in Israel, and I was listening to his spaces, and basically, he's got these really dim no-hides. So at first I thought they were Jewish, and then I thought maybe they were just sort of reform and they didn't know that. They're really, really dim. And he tells them all kinds of nonsense. And so I did. I think I mentioned him to you, and you said you already knew him. And he's a Chabadnik. And so I suppose, with these people taking an interest, I think people just want a kind of guru or somebody to calm them down and say, Rabbi or whoever, what should I think about this? Will you say a prayer for me about that? And it's that kind of thing. Like people really
I mean, they're giving them,
and they want, something comforting.
Yeah, they're giving them. The thing is that they are supposed to not supposed to be giving them spirituality like that, at least generally from what either I understand or the school that I think would be the most effective. And the problem that they're having is people are coming out of Christianity, and Christianity is all about spirituality and other teachings other than the law. Anything but the law is Christianity. And they're coming into Noahidism, and they're finding it kind of like spiritually void, because really it should be nothing but the law, right? I mean, not nothing, but the law.
They want rituals. That is what they're so desperate to have. And that's why, listen to that stream with, what's his name? Yarden Ben Joseph. And you'll see how desperate these people are. And the thing is, this guy, it's like, yes, he has this Hebrew accent and he can speak Hebrew. And he says something in Hebrew and they go, oh, wow, thank you so much, and he doesn't even correct them. There was this stupid woman from Manchester who for some reason was saying, the God of Egypt, the God of Egypt. And I was just I'd just woken up and I was going, you stupid woman, you mean the God of Israel, surely. And he didn't even correct her. So, I mean, I don't I'm just saying that basically people are leading each other astray because of all their wrong thing. And this Jew is obviously, well, I'm not going to correct these sort of Gentiles in case they don't, they'll get upset with me. I guess he's a Jewish version of Paul Vanderklay. He adopts his avuncular, psychologist manner to kind of, well, not frighten them away and keep them coming back, and asking him questions like, oh, what should I think about this? What should I do about that? So I think that there's going to be a whole lot of charlatans milking the fears and nonsense of these people. And they won't even know. And the thing is, they don't even care. They just want, a soothing voice to say, there. You mustn't be afraid. It's all right. Just pray to Jesus or Hashem or whoever, It's so disgusting. So you're going to say, I think you're micromanaging the whole thing because actually, I mean, to be fair to Khaled, it's difficult to understand your position because basically you're saying the Noahide laws are going to get more powerful, but you want Muslims to do something about it or not?
Well, I don't want Islam taking over. I mean, I'd rather fight the
I don't
Noahide
think
laws.
you know what you want. That's why.
No, I do. I know. I would rather fight the Noahide laws than Islam. I would rather fight the Noahide laws than Islam. I want to use the Noahide laws to get rid of Islam. If you can get them off Islam and into Noahidism, then do it. You know what I mean?
But that means that you'll be executed.
Well, not if we can get people to react. Not if we can get people to react to this more extreme, pestilence. Islam is soft kill and Noahidism is hard kill. So just get your enemies straight about who's who and who's about what.
Which do you hate more?
I hate them all.
Okay, but for some reason you think it's going to marginally make you feel better if one or the other takes over, and I don't think you made up your mind.
No, I have. I would look. Here's what I want to happen.
Okay, so you support the Noahide laws, and then
Islam.
You're executed.
No, Islam is growing. Islam is growing, and that scares me. So I would rather what happen is start converting those Muslims, some of them at least, to Noahidism, so that the camp starts.
The authority of
the camp starts. The camp starts breaking up. I would rather bring in a fourth, there would be a fourth, not a Noahidic religion into Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and let them all start fighting each other for converts, fighting each other over anything or whatever. Just it's like throwing a wrench into the mix. Like throw that wrench right into that mix.
And I've been trying to explain to you that Noahidism hasn't got a chance. The Muslims are not taking it seriously, but when they do, all the arguments are to hand.
I don't know. You have to convince.
Yes, because what the Muslims are going to say is like, surely you don't want to be executed for idolatry, blasphemy, and sodomy and adultery. Surely not. And the Gentiles will say, no, we don't want to be executed for idolatry, blasphemy, sodomy, and adultery. Of course they're going to say that. And then the Muslim will say, well, you don't have to.
Can you hold 1 second? Hello? Hold on. No, not yet. Hello?
Yes. Are you talking to me now?
Yeah. You put yourself on mute. Is that why I couldn't hear you?
I don't know who you were saying hello to. I thought you were saying hello to your phone call.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Oh, so I'm going to address Stephen's point. So, you see, Stephen's position is just as confusing as Vincent's. So,
Whose position?
yeah, because, okay, so Stephen wants Islam to crash and burn. But then what else is going to save his people? So he doesn't even know. It's like, ooh, I hate Islam more than I love, my descendants not being degenerate, trannies. So I don't think, and you can't work out whether you hate the no-hate laws or Islam more. So, you go from one to the next and one to the next. I think there's even a word for it.
No, but at least I have to, so you don't want an idolatry. You want the gods to be many and you want them to be imminent. So that's the first rule. Then you want no anti-blasphemy laws, right? So that no god is beyond question. And then no regulation of a consensual human sexuality, no murder, no theft, do not abuse animals, set up courts of justice to enforce these laws. So I have my thing.
No, because it's too vague. You see, I already know I'm going to win hands down. So I'm not that bothered because the narrative is all. If people people might not like what you say, but if they understand it, it's okay. They reject it, but before rejecting it, they understand it, which is why they reject it. But at least you sort of know, like, oh, this person doesn't like it, and he doesn't like it because they've understood it and they don't like it. But if you get no reaction, then you don't know what's happened. Did they even notice it? Did they understand it? You don't know, and you haven't got a firm narrative other than you don't like. You don't like Islam and you don't like the no-hate laws because they threaten your sexual liberation. But then you also complain that people are just getting stupider and intolerably stupid. And, I'm afraid this is the case. So today, or was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday I was talking to this this nationalist who, was just congratulating himself. He's got out of Britain. He's now in Serbia, and it's like, why why do you think you've done a great thing? It's like you're just doing this white flight thing, and then it was like he thought he was just going to come back when he felt like it, which obviously wasn't going to happen. So for some reason Vincent has gone, but I can sum up hopefully what I was going to say, which is that good, he's come back.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, hold on. I gotta try to get my headset working.
So I have a clear narrative, and I actually want to have it to happen ASAP. So I'm not thinking, oh, it's got to happen within my lifetime or after my lifetime. I already know it should happen ASAP. So my schedule and my phasing in is not a problem because obviously Vincent wants all the bad stuff to happen when he's not around to experience the bad stuff. And so he wants to, phase it in, and he doesn't know how quickly or how slowly to phase it in. And, but I'm saying the Muslims will very quickly win the argument. And as for Stephen James's view that Islam is going to be destroyed by liberalism, I don't think it will be if Sharia is adopted. And I have always been clear about what I want, which is that it should be adopted And even if most people are not Muslim, they'll just have to live under it. So, I'd be very clear.
I'm here. I'm just eating quick.
Okay. But I think Vincent is disappointed at the reaction of Muslims who are basically, well, who cares? I just don't see why you're getting so, upset about it, because it's not going to happen. And this was what this Jordanian was saying, quite distinctly, about him not, just saying, no way are Arabs going to be adopting the no-hide laws. And I still remember the exchange, and I was saying, they're not going to adopt the no-hide laws because anti-Semites, and no way are they going to accept the authority of a rabbi. And then he said, oh, no, we're not really anti-Semites, but, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, well, it did sound like, he was regarding Jews as if, they were one person with a continuous memory, because he was saying, oh, but we were so nice to the Jews and we looked after them, and the Christians were persecuting them in the Middle Ages, and look what they're doing to us now. And I thought, well, you can't really be holding, can you hold a group of people responsible for the actions of their ancestors? I mean, considering you weren't even born, should you take responsibility for all the bad stuff that, your ancestors did before you were even born? And I challenged him about it. But really, the anti-Semitism is just so bone deep that it really has become a quasi-religion that the people who have it don't even know. They don't know that all these beliefs are actually making them really stupid. Islamophobia is making SJJ stupid. It's making, all the other Christians who are despairing of getting a wife, having children, etc. And it's like, where do you think you're going to run to? I mean, I guess the people, the foreigners from other countries, well, they can just go home. But, oh yeah, I heard an American, he was saying, well, he actually lived, well, he seemed to know a lot about China. But anyway, he was saying he was relishing going back to America to, I guess, fight it out in the Civil War. Or well, that's what I thought he was saying. Because he didn't want his son to be drafted for this stupid war in Ukraine. So it goes back to what I've been saying about arguments. So I've been saying to people like, well, you make these arguments and they say, oh, it's not going to happen. And, they're not going to, change the law just because of you. And my position is that the very least you could be doing, the very least you could be doing is make the case for it, make the arguments for it. And apparently people just prefer to just sort of laugh at the prospect of a Mad Max world. But I thought it would actually be quite therapeutic for people to say what they believed. And as I was saying in my earlier video, my video before this, I seem to remember the one that said you should state your beliefs if you're serious enough about them to want to defend them. So you should at least express your opinion, even though it might be stupid. Because only through expressing your opinion and being prepared to defend them will you actually discover if they're stupid or not. So as for this neurosis that I see around, I mean, to be fair to Khaled, it's like I don't really understand Vincent's position either. So what is the point? What is the point of, you know?
That's not, no, excuse me. That's not, he didn't mean it on this deep level like you meant it. He just like doesn't understand if I'm like, you know, he was just, you know, I was sitting there. Should have been obvious from the conversation that I was being very clear that I was against the Noahide.
Yeah, but you're also against Islam. So
Huh?
so why? How does it benefit you
Wait,
to have
hold
one?
on.
Because the rational thing would be, if I have to choose between the two, I would choose the one that's not going to execute me for being a sodomite, adulterer, idolater, or blasphemer. That would be the commonsensical position. If I were in your position, it's like, it's obvious. If I have to choose between the two, I'm going to choose, the one that's going to punish me less harshly.
Hold on.
So, yeah, maybe, well, definitely I don't understand your position. Actually, my position is that you don't understand your own position
No,
either.
but yeah, because I understand my position. I'm just trying to pit my enemies against each other. That's it. I'm in a very weak position. I have no army. I have nothing. So I might as well try to. Okay, throwing Noahidism into the whole works. It's like it's a problem. It's a nuisance. Even if it's a little nuisance, it's still a nuisance. I'd rather put a thorn in their side. If I can't put a sword, I'll put a thorn. You know what I mean? I'll hurt them any way that I can.
But actually, my position, which is diametrically opposed to yours, is to say, Jews, you just do what I told you to do with the Noahide laws, ranking them and declaring Islam most Noahide, making secular Quranism higher in status than Christianity, and then obviously adopt it. And they refuse to do it. And I say, because they refuse to do it, these rabbis, they are prolonging the curse on them, because obviously what's happening to them, I guess, Muslims will say, oh, the Jews always have one over us and they're genociding us. It's like, well, I don't think the Jews are having a good time either. If you hear them, well, they die. And, and a lot of them feel that they died for no good reason. This is to do with, bombing cars, or they get killed anyway.
No, okay. Well, I'm just saying. Well, the point was, back to Khalid. He wasn't able to follow my conversation. And I truly believe it's because he doesn't want to.
Well, Abdul Rahman, he tried. I mean, are you going
but
to?
He did follow the conversation. He didn't tell me he didn't understand my position. He just dismissed it offhand like it was. He didn't do what Khalid did. Those are two different things. Don't mix up apples and oranges.
Okay, so Khalid said he didn't understand at all, and
no, that he didn't understand on what
your fears
side.
Unfounded.
Abdul, or whatever his name is, wasn't confounded about what I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying, we just have nothing
he
to
was
worry
saying
about
it won't work.
We would never adopt these laws.
Okay, yeah, but you can work with them. Okay, yes, but will higher echelon Muslims be like, okay, we can work together and maybe we'll stay Muslim, but yeah, we can help you spread it in the West, or we can say it's cool, or we can say it's fine, or we can just say it's innocuous and it's not really a problem, and not give you can also have an alliance between, well, we're not going to cause you, we're not going to get in your way. Islam can take that position of, we're not getting in your way. You know what I mean? We're not going to, sit here and start preaching against the Noahide laws.
Yeah, but they will. Once they
They have
take notice
they have
of
no
it.
interest now. They'll have no interest in the future. The only people that are going, it's only going to be a small number of people that are going to fight against this. This is just, it's going to come in so slowly that it'll just be, by the time like, you know, if 1% of the population is Noahide, then it'll only take 1% visibility and people won't notice. But by the time it's, you know, but then at 2%, then it takes up 2% visibility. When the Noahide population is 5%, it takes up 5% visibility. So it's like, you know, it's just this slow moving
Yeah,
thing.
but you know, you keep talking as if there's some kind of this marching army when they're so stupid and they don't, you know, they have no tradition and no rituals, and you know the best thing
Well,
about
that's the
Noahidism is
point.
that they have this Jew
That's the
to
point,
ask
Claire.
questions
Not
of.
everyone thinks old way like you. That's the thing. That's the point of the Noahide laws. It's a new world order. It's totally different. It's not like anything else that's ever been tried. That's the point. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I
but I mean,
mean?
well, Islam would just kick it out. You know, once the Muslims notice, you know, what the rabbis are.
Okay, but people might be attracted to a new world order over just bringing back the old ways of Islam from 100 years ago.
I don't know about 100 years ago. You know, I'm
Well, what
basically
was wrong
saying
with
that
Islam
people
100 years
attracted.
ago? Claire, what was wrong with Islam 100 years ago or 200 years ago? What was wrong with it?
Um, well, they did. I guess it didn't protect Muslims from Western imperialism.
Okay, well, but there was nothing really much wrong going on there with what the people were doing generally, legally in Islamic lands 200 years ago. You don't have a problem with any of that.
Well,
Um,
I don't. Okay, we can only go. Can only examine the history of the Ottoman Empire, which has
not
been in
only,
decline.
not only, we
Okay, I
cannot.
don't know what else to, you know.
Okay,
We
the
can only
point
look
is
at the
that
most powerful.
Islam 100 or 200 or 300 years ago wasn't a problem for you. You're not like, oh God, I definitely wouldn't want to live 300 years ago under Islam. That would have been horrible. You're not going to go around telling people that. You're just going to say like, okay, well, if you were living under real Islam about 100 or 200 years ago, maybe you didn't have modern conveniences, but you know, your life was probably, in your opinion, rather good, and that this was a rather stable system for people to be living in. And it's either that or it's, you know, this new world order, get rid of the old traditions, get rid of, you know, all the entrapments of religion and stuff like that, and live a simpler spiritual life. You're saying everyone's going to want the old way, and I'm saying that some people might want the new way that's being presented.
So, what new way?
The Noahide way.
But it's never been implemented. You know, it's like Westerners are having the heebie-jeebies just thinking about Sharia, and you want, you know, Sharia plus.
No, well,
So I don't know
okay.
where
You're
you.
okay. Again, you're very short-sighted. I know that they're not going to come out to today's generation and say behead people. That's like for 50, 60 years from now or something like that. That's not for right now. That's not the way it's going to be
Okay, they're
presented.
going to say it's all warm and fuzzy, and everybody get together, and you know, not be Christians anymore and be no hides. And yeah, you know, they can do that, and there'll be other people who say, well, how about Islam? Is that no hide?
Well, some people are going to say, well, I don't want the culture of Islam. I don't want the hadith. I don't want this. I don't want that. I want just something basic that doesn't have a backstory to it, really. I want something that's
Well, I
just
mean,
like,
how can you? The backstory is the Jews, the story of the Jews,
well, yeah,
and
well, but so, okay.
Christianity with 2,000 years of it.
No,
Of
Christianity would be
course,
gone. Christianity would be gone. Look,
it's not going to.
Noahide law is really not so much about the backstory of the Jews. It's just, you know, 7 laws, 7 moral system. Like, you know, okay, fine, follow these 7 laws. That's it. Forget about prayers. Forget about fasts. Forget about holidays. forget about this and diet and this thing and that thing and all these
Yeah,
other
and you
kinds.
think the Muslims are just gonna, sit back? They're on this
No, look,
this
but this is this.
drive for dawah.
Okay, well, other people might say, I don't want to become a Muslim, but I want to follow the same laws as Islam, but I don't want all the other aspects of Islam, so I'm just going to follow the Noahide laws and not become a Muslim because it just, I don't have to become a Muslim. This is simpler. This is easier. This is less complex.
Yeah, but it's not actually going. You're not getting the benefit of it.
Yes.
That's the thing.
No, what
No,
benefit?
I mean, in terms of the laws.
Yes, you are getting the benefit of the law.
No, you won't be banning usury. You won't be,
Well,
forbidding.
Alan Cecil says ban usury. Alan Cecil says ban usury.
Okay, but he has no particular authority. It's like Alan Cecil
Okay, well, no Muslim has any
lesser
particular.
than the Quran.
Muslims have no particular authority either over each other, and there are 6 schools of Sharia, and then there's a whole host of liberal Muslims that just twist it into whatever they want it to be.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I've been saying to Muslims that you need a caliph because every now and then go, oh, we haven't got a caliph. What shall we do? How can we get one? And Daniel Arkigachi was he was complaining about somebody called Kadir, I think, who is this American Islamic scholar who's been basically liberalizing and just muddying the waters about certain Islamic principles, and he was saying, "Oh, I can't imagine a caliphate," and Hakigachi was jumping up and down, and how dare you? It's very simple, but he didn't say how simple, and I was just saying, yes, it's very simple. So the all these Muslim countries just have to vote for their caliphate and their caliph and unite behind him. I mean, it's so obvious, really, isn't it? It's like, obviously, it is obvious. Obviously, it is obvious that the caliph would be the most powerful Islamic state in the world. So, another moment is obviously Iran, because it's not Pakistan or Afghanistan or, it's like, because Iran is not a failed state.
I don't know. I think, I mean, I don't know. You think that you can pinpoint.
Yes, I do. And I'm waiting for people to say, oh, okay, I've got it wrong because, a more powerful Islamic state is da-da. I mean, whatever it is. So nobody can say, oh, Iran is not the most powerful Islamic republic in the world. I mean, there's actually a list of them. There's Saudi Arabia, there's Mauritania, there's Yemen, and there's Iran and Afghanistan. It's just these 5. I have powers of deduction and I like using them. But, okay, I get it that all these Sunnis don't want to say, oh, you Shiites, you have one over us. You do indeed have the most powerful Islamic republic, and we're just, the poodles of Uncle Sam in our Gulf kingdoms, placed there by the Western imperialists. Without proper armies and, incapable of fighting back because we are so drowning in our luxury and oil money and our small population. It's like, yeah, people know. And okay, and then the most populous Islamic country in the world is Indonesia, as they keep saying. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to, come marching to the aid of Iran or the Palestinians. We know you're not because you're too far away, and the American Navy would just sink your ships if you tried anything like that. So it's Iran.
I don't know.
But they won't do it because they are being stupid and divided, and But I'm saying, yes, I do know the answers, and nobody can say, oh, there's a more powerful Islamic Republic than Iran, and it is, whatever. I mean, so I'm saying the potential is there. It can be organized in the same way that I am saying, um, okay, secular Quranism. Of course, the arguments have to be made. You have to say, in theory, the solution to your problem is, X. And people who want to undermine me might say, no, the problem is, the solution is Y, or there is no problem. I mean, this is how you logically go about undermining somebody's arguments. Like, the problem you've been talking about, Claire, it doesn't even exist. But there is a problem, obviously, because every day I hear all these Western men waiting for doom and death and wanting the world to have ended yesterday. And look at Stephen. It's like he doesn't even know what he wants. Does he want descendants or not? So so on the one hand, he's saying, oh, but Islam will be, defeated by liberalism, and which means that if he does have descendants, they will be crippled by liberalism. Is that what he really wants? Has he thought it through? We don't know. And have you thought it through, Vincent? It's like, can you micromanage everything?
Well, okay. Well, hopefully the Muslims get more aggressive and start attacking the liberals, and then the liberals get a spine. And, there's nothing stopping you from being liberal and having lots of children or being militant. Nothing stops you from, militantly pursuing liberalism and imposing liberalism. So, I hope that the Muslims do attack the liberals and make them more aggressive and anti-Islam.
Well, they're already anti-Islam. I mean, they already are, but these people who hate Islam haven't got the antidote to Islam,
Well,
do they?
the
I
antidote
mean,
is
they
the
can only think,
I
oh,
told
time
you.
machine before the Muslims arrived, or pray for a vote for our anti-immigration party machine, so we can come into power. In the meantime, we're just going to say, crazy, stupid things that will, get our accounts deleted on Facebook or YouTube or
Well,
whatever.
I mean, you just need to be liberal and keep up your birth rate. I mean, put all your time, energy, and effort into increasing your birth rate as a liberal nation, and promote good health and a militant culture. And
But you
you'll be
can't because of the sexual liberation. Because if you say, if you're going to allow premarital sex, that will delay marriage and parenthood.
yeah, but you could
And
find
that
ways to
has
have.
always been the problem.
Well, you have to have solutions where children are born and
But
raised
then
in
you
a.
have no control over them if you're a liberal parent. Because then the
Well,
schools will be saying, oh, have you considered being gay or transgender?
Well,
Ooh, let's put
that's
you.
not what those parents are worried about. I mean, if it doesn't matter if they're teaching, if there's gay, not porn, but gay, books in schools, if you have a high reproducing population, and if you've made it so that gay men can reproduce, and you've had different child rearing strategies, and different ways of doing these different kinds of things. I mean, liberals could figure it out if they tried, and but
And
they
nobody
haven't really
doing
tried
anything.
because they're infected by the wrong kind of ideology. It's more Marxist ideology, and that's not so much into kind of being any kind of, master race or anything like that.
You know what the liberals are doing? They're just doing their damnedest to make sure Trump doesn't become president again. That's all they're focused on. I don't think you can get them to focus on anything else. They must be so terrified. You know, it's like, oh, we're going to rig the courts against him and convict him as a felon. And then they're thinking, can we put him in jail? And would it help us? And would he still win anyway, even though we put him in jail? And it's like, oh, you know, that would be even more embarrassing. And it's like, well, we could put him in jail and kill him, and then there would be even more trouble, I guess. No, I mean, if only you
Well,
could see, Vincent, that
this has nothing to do with leftists just becoming more militant, which is what will hopefully happen if Islam continues to attack the left. Hopefully the left will wake up and say, okay, Islam's not our friend. Let's stop helping these people. Let's stop working with these people, and let's start destroying them.
well, I think there will be, you know, signals and green lights given for, you know, all kinds of, you know, changes in the political thinking. And this is how I see it. I mean, you know, at the moment, people will just carry on because, you know, nobody's saying anything. And they are, you know, waiting for orders, standing by for orders that they, you know, expect from legacy media. And that's what they're doing. You know, people can't, you know, get excited about anything unless they are told to, you know, get angry or fearful or happy or whatever. And so it has to be done through the media to give them the signal, you know, to be angry or fearful or happy or whatever. And my bargain to the ruling classes is you can manage the transition if you know, if you don't want World War III, you would have to, you know, manage the narrative. And if you show the people that you've turned over and you leave, perhaps all will be well in the end. But only if you, you know, signal that there has been change in your thinking. And this would mean, well, platforming me.
Who platforming you?
Yes.
Who?
Well, it would have to be, you know, somebody important or some some interview or something. I mean, and then it would be like, oh, what's this secular Quranism and nonsense or whatever. But you know, it has to be done from, you know, by the media, right? I mean, you have to propose something, and the proposal can be opposed and dismissed or whatever, or adopted. Those are the options. But first, in order for it to be adopted, you have to make the proposal. This is the first baby step. And I'm not even talking about, you know, sending armies here and there. You know, it has to be articulated. And I'm saying, you know, the average age of Westerners is 40. So, you know, I'm not expecting them to be, you know, overthrowing their government. But I think they should be able to, you know, talk about things, right? In a constructive way, if given some kind of, you know, impetus by the media. But I know the media is very, very strictly controlled, and, you know, I guess they're not anywhere near adopting my suggestion, my proposal, or listening to it. But I assume there must be people who think, I don't want World War III. You know? It's just going to end badly. And it's like, it's not even like, you know, white people can go to other people's countries after World War III because they'll be, well, not appreciated.
White people are in so much trouble. It's funny. I mean, it's so horrible. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's like not you can't even be migrants because nobody would hire you, or you'd be too fat to go on boats and stuff.
It's
Or you just rather die, and that would be the end of the story, right?
I'm not migrating to another country, not at my age, not at
Well,
my.
exactly. People are saying that the average age of the Westerner is 40, which is your age. So everybody's saying, oh, we'll just rather die in our own country, thank you. And it's like, yeah, and then the migrants are already here will take over.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you know what I mean? But even with secular Quranism, they could still take over. Because what if the
Yes,
migrants?
but at least you can say, you can at least attempt to control the interpretation and say, look, we're going to do things in a different way. We're going to do things better than you guys did because you're busy, your caliphate crashed and burnt, and and we think you did this thing wrong, and blah blah blah. There's stuff you can do. There's a narrative you can weave with what I put before you. And I'm saying it just fits in really nicely. And it's easy to understand. It's not like some complicated conspiracy theory. And you already understand it. And if you say, if you promote secular Quranism, people are not going to get as frightened as me promoting it, right? Because you're gay. Because you're gay. And nobody will be able to take away from you the fact that you were the first one to promote it. Even though I guess, there'll be other people will, coming along later to say, I have a better, I have more plans for secular Quranism than Vincent. But then I just have to say, I still support Vincent because blah, blah.
I don't know. Maybe the fame would go to my head, Clara.
I'm prepared to risk it. And then of course, you'll have to call, confirm my status as Messiah substitute.
Should I become like Stu Peters and wear a big VB Vincent Bruno necklace around my neck?
No, just dress normally and
Bling bling, our Gucci
I
suit
don't
or
know.
whatever.
Or do you want to wear a cape or something?
A cape.
I don't know, like a Marvel superhero.
Oh my gosh, Claire, that would be too much.
No, but you see, okay, the thing about cognitive behavioral therapy is all about framing, right? Certain things that it's like, I don't know, what is it? Stuck in traffic. Instead of banging on the steering wheel and whatever, you can think, oh, it's an opportunity for me to listen to some nice music or play with my phone or I don't know, play my favorite song or whatever. I don't know what these people do. So it's just a matter of framing, which actually Jews do. You know this thing about Jews thanking God for misfortune. I mean, talk about framing.
I don't know, Claire, but Claire, I'm well, do you want me to go? Do you want me to stay a little while longer?
Do you have anything on your mind?
No, but I might step. Can you just give me a few minutes?
Sure.
Just keep going. I'll be back.
All right. So I'm going to go back to the subject of the title, which is democracy a shittier system than monarchy? And I'm saying possibly because, okay, you could have a really stupid, evil, mad monarch, and yes, and it'll lead your country into war and defeat and whatever. Or you could have a really sensible and wise and good king, and he will acquire empire for you. But this thing called democracy, well, what is that about? Democracy, as I see it, has been exposed for the fraud it is. Because in World War One and World War Two, and it's really important, it does affect, ordinary people whose lives will be ruined, destroyed, ended by war. They don't get to vote on foreign policy. They don't get to vote on foreign policy, and it's actually a life or death matter. So, what is the answer? And the answer, of course, is that you want wise rulers who will look after these things for you, because you haven't got the inclination or the knowledge or the capacity to understand foreign policy, and therefore you want the best people at the top. How are you going to get the best people at the top? Who are the best people? Not just smart people, because smart people can be really evil. So you want honest, logical, but principled people who will follow the rules. And what rules should you follow? I'm obviously going to say it's Quranic principles. And you're going to say, oh no, because I hate Islam. But I know that you don't have an alternative to propose. You won't be able to find a better guide to humanity than the Quran. Therefore, I win. Is Vincent back? I'll just read silly things that SJJ has been saying. So I don't know if Stephen wants to sentence. So Stephen predicts that there will be ever widening, deepening degeneracy and pride parades in Jeddah and what's the other place? I can't remember now. Mecca, Medina, and what's the other Saudi city? Riyadh. That's the one I was thinking of. Right, and so suddenly out of the blue, Stephen is rooting for Vincent and the no-hide laws. Does Stephen really want the no-hide laws to be adopted instead of secular Quranism? I don't think so, because, I think he sort of feels invested in secular Quranism in a way, and he can say, oh, I knew the woman, who came up, where we used to be streaming partners, and now she's so, a world figure on the world stage. Oh, I knew her once upon a time. So there's this to consider, Stephen. And who else? Somebody talking about superstition, occult aspects. I don't know why Stephen says I'm a witch. I only use my powers of deduction to read people's minds. I don't use the occult, I just use my powers of deduction. And yes, it does appear that I can read your mind, but then it's because I understand your position. I know that if you, it's sort of like, if you love me, you would send me flowers every day. If you want to kill me, you would, throw darts and shoot bullets at me. And, it's not that hard to work out. So, HZM says, no one is interested in her message, be it Christians or Muslims. Well, actually, they are. They're trying very, very hard to ignore me. I've actually heard people say, we mustn't talk about secular Quranism. We mustn't give her the satisfaction. We just mustn't talk about it amongst ourselves. Never, ever talk about secular Quranism online with each other. Shh, that kind of thing. So I already know. But the thing, it's kind of like Alien. There's this famous scene in Alien, after the alien has injected the baby alien in the chest of John Hurt. And you just carry it around for a bit and you hate it and you feel a bit queasy and then it just pops out. And then I guess it'll take over but life will be better. Because you'll have rules and then you can plan your lives according to these new rules, and these new rules will make life predictable. So it's like, if you do X, your reward will be A. If you do Y, your punishment will be B. It's that sort of idea. And then obviously, the enforcement should be good, the interpretation, the application, just have to make sure these things are evenly and equally and fairly enforced. And I have a few ideas about that. And also, I will make it fun. I will make competitions, drama documentaries, quiz shows based on secular Quranism. And I plan to have examinations in Quranic knowledge for primary schools, secondary schools, at university level. I don't know where. If I run out of things to say, maybe I can complain about a few things that I've been talking about. Yeah, I'm afraid, a lot of people are just being apocalyptic. They're going to say the currency's going to crash, there'll be another civil war, there'll be World War III, and blah, blah. And what I'm doing is saying, you can do your U-turn and veer away from the precipice. Yes, the edge of the cliff is coming up, but you don't have to throw yourself off the cliff. You can, stop and turn around and not throw yourself over the cliff. If only you were all prepared to talk about secular Quranism in real life. And that's all you have to do. You just have to say, I know this person, it's a bit weird, a bit radical, but what do you think? What do you think? Can you think of a better idea? It's that sort of thing. You just have a normal conversation. You explain the situation, you point at the problem and invite agreement about the problem. And I'm saying the problem with white people, and I do care about white people, is that they don't have a working class. And this is something that they can't bring themselves to admit, that there's just so many, things that they want to deny and pretend isn't really happening. And they just have to face facts.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh.
We've got 8 people, which is not bad.
No, that's not bad. It's not bad. Though I have to admit, I love spaces more now and haven't even streamed because, it's like gets no views and nobody joins and it's hard for people to join. You have to post the link.
Yeah, everybody go to spaces, and also spaces. We just find a better quality people, with greater knowledge, higher status, more education and knowledge about stuff.
Yeah.
But every now and then, it's useful to talk to the old guard, I suppose. The hardcore.
Is YouTube still for hardcore people?
Yeah, I think YouTube will eventually be left behind. But the thing about Spaces is that it's full of glitches. If you get the really big ones, sometimes you don't hear everybody who's talking, and it gets really annoying. And I think certain people get shadow banned, so you can't even see them, even though they're in your space. Because that you get shadow banned and the hashtags might not show you up or something. But yeah, everybody go to Twitter if you can, because that's a safe space for conservatives. And the anti-Semitism is just really going crazy.
Through the roof.
Yeah, and the people who aren't traditionally into that sort of thing are getting in on it. I mean, the Chinese. It's like I'm surprised, but yeah. But I think the Jews are kind of also taking flack from American foreign policy, because really, I think the neocons use them as cover. And so in a way, the three, CIA, USA, JEW are all inextricably linked.
Well, last time I checked, Israel was debating whether they were going to war with Hezbollah now.
But I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, how many wars are you going to have with each other? I know that the Germans just had this nightmare, in the First and Second World War. It's like, we must at all costs avoid a war on two fronts. Well, that's Germany. Obviously, doesn't want to fight, France on the one side and Russia on the other. And that has happened, and they've lost the war. And it's like, America, how many wars are going to start? I mean, people are getting a bit fed up with, Ukraine. But somebody was saying that the Europeans seem to be very keen on a war. But then I suppose they think they can just put one over the European voters, because the prediction for Britain is that Starmer's gonna win, and then he'll just introduce conscription, and then he'll send all these people to war and die, and yeah, that is a prediction, and it won't be the only um, European country doing that. But yeah, I was in the States, and there were, there was a good mix of Chinese, American, British, uh, German people just feeling so hopeless about it. But I guess what I'm saying is that, okay, I'm going to say I'm the solution theory. People are going to say, oh, but nobody listens to you. So the problem is how to make people listen more. And obviously, Vincent, you will be very helpful if you were to, sincerely and steadfastly support secular Quranism as a potential way of avoiding World War III, because you were saying that actually for women and gay people, it's in your interest to ensure that Western civilization continues. Gay people will suffer most in a Mad Max world.
Yes, we will. We will. I don't know, Claire. I don't know. I don't know. I'm on the verge of giving up.
No, you don't have to give up. If you're going to give up, you know, it's like, okay, I can't see anything better. But if I see anything better than secular Quranism, I'll go and support it. And then we'll see if anything happens. You know, it's possible that people might not take you seriously until you probably have to say it quite a few times and quite a few places, and you know, and we'll have to think of publicity for you to make it compelling, and yeah, and I think you would have to read the Quran, but you know, I think I got smarter reading it. I know you find it hard to believe, but you know, it's just like working out a rule system, and you know, working out what the rules are for and how they're framed, and you know, and, and I think you become smarter if you read it.
If you read it,
And then you will actually or quite find it quite satisfying. I'm saying it is intellectually satisfying to understand this system of rules and narratives, and if you look on it this way, you may enjoy it. I mean, Rabbi Mizrahi talks about certain Jews who enjoy studying Torah. Um, I mean, I don't know it that well, but some people just want to learn it by heart. But I'm saying you don't need to learn it by heart. You just you just read it like a lawyer going through small print. And there are also parallels between the Torah and the Quran, as I discovered yesterday. About the ratios, about even when you're outnumbered, um, one of you could beat 10 of them. That kind of idea. And if you're weakened, one of you could beat two of them, something like that. I think it's 865 and 866, and there's a verse in the Torah as well. I suppose it is to encourage Jews or Muslims who feel outnumbered, as we all feel from time to time. But the situation is not hopeless. And the other thing is that it's important for people to grasp the idea of penitence, remorse, repentance. And the whole narrative of the Abrahamic God is it's never too late to turn back, and God will forgive you. But once you're dead, it's too late, because then your account with God will be closed. But in theory, you can repent at any time, and you will be forgiven if you genuinely express remorse. So, I mean, that's a story with Christianity. So, apparently, a lot of people think, oh, I'm in so deep, I'll never be forgiven, and it's too late. And the idea is, no, it's not, because look at the story of well, you know that Joshua married a prostitute from Jericho, don't you?
I didn't know that. No.
Well, he did. Because there's a story of Rahab, who was this prostitute in the city of Jericho, and she for some reason hid the spies that Moses sent as scouts. And then there's a story about, well, they went around the walls of Jericho 7 times, and the walls came crashing down. I think there's even a song about it. But
Yes,
anyway,
there is.
she was meant to be a prostitute, and anyway, Joshua married her, a prophet of God, no less. Um, And then the other example I can think of is the book of Jeremiah, and it was talking about the Jews who were likened to the bride of God, but an openly adulterous bride of God um, who was a prostitute, in fact. And then it said, but God will still take his prostitute wife back. That's what it said. So I guess it's quite an extreme situation, but anyway, it's there in black and white in verses of the Old Testament. So I'm not making it up. I guess to emphasize the point that it's never too late to repent, as long as you're still alive when you repent. Which is why, which explains all these, dramatic deathbed scenes that we've seen in movies. The priest coming to administer the last rites and all that. Oh, do you know? Do Jehovah's Witnesses have last rites?
No,
Do
I
they
didn't
have?
think so.
Oh, right.
I didn't think so.
Okay.
Just do the lost rites in advance. Just do it at the same time as the baptism, so you don't have to worry about it.
Well, the thing is, you're not. I don't know what the Muslim procedure is, but the thing is, the priest is not supposed to be able to forgive you because you didn't wrong the priest, and he has no right to forgive you on behalf of any people you wronged. But I suppose you could say things like, "I'm sorry, I wronged whoever," and Rune says, "I had a strange dream a few nights ago. Claire was in Kabul, Iraq, and I was there as well. There raised the glorious banner of Imam Hussein, and all the people went crazy." Well, that's a nice dream. The crowd scene. So, I know people think I'm a bit of a dreamer, but I'm saying a very firm indication of the establishment having a change of mind would be if they decided to interview me. And it wouldn't matter if they were, being friendly or hostile. And in fact, I would appreciate difficult questions rather than, oh, how am I going to, make certain things happen? Of course, you have to, say it in words first, right? I mean, you have to ask for what you want verbally or in writing, and then if they don't give it to you, you think of, other ways of doing it. But you must at least ask for it.
Okay, Claire, I'm gonna go.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Bye.